Welcome, everybody. Welcome to In the Now. Wow, it's Friday already. I feel like the Fridays are just do you guys notice? I noticed like maybe close to like mid-August that the sun was starting to go down at 8 o'clock. And I was just like, why? And now it's going down at like 7. And it's like, why? Because I know that means that we're just going to fall back in time soon, which means that it's going to be going down at 6. And then it's going to be going down at like 5:30. I know, depressing, and I'm still happy it's Friday. I'm just saying, guys, like time's moving so quickly, and it's just, geez, winter is upon us. Hope you guys enjoyed your summer. I hope you guys enjoyed your summer with us. I definitely want to say actually something right now. If you get a chance, I don't know if anyone for newcomers to In the Now. In the Now is definitely a great show because it brings you information, news information that's kind of outside the little bubble that we call North America. We're sometimes very trapped into the CNN, Fox type news where everything's about Trump, everything's about terror, everything's about, something negative, something to keep you in that fear. They use emotion to trigger us a lot. This show, on the other hand, I offer you guys information so you guys can kind of see that maybe we don't have to really stay in this bubble that we call North America. It's not all doom and gloom all over the world. There are really bad things happening all over the world, but in the same breath, there's also really good things happening all over the world. So, to say that, I figured today I actually have our segments broken up into some chunks in a little bit of a way. This first segment, I think was pretty cool. I want to, first of all, I have to big up my team. So we have the producer behind there, Miss Anisha. She's doing her job as always, making me look great, making the rest of our team look great, Monday through Friday. Also, we have Mr. Rankin in the building, as usual, assisting me, getting me the information. Actually, true story, he actually got all this. He got all the initial information for me, and he said, okay, choose. And I was able to go through and pull out things that I thought would be of interest, well, not only to me, but to you guys as well. So let's take a look. Let's talk technology first. What's happening in this world? Because things are advancing. As you guys know, like every year there's a new iPhone. Every year there's a new something. Technology keeps moving, and now it's moving at a different type of speed. It's moving in the air. So a British technology research firm known as the Center for Process Innovations says that they are creating the key to future airplane travel. Don't know if you guys have heard about this, but they're called windowless planes. So I found a little kind of breakdown of it online, so I figured I'd let you guys see it, and he actually takes you through it. After we watch this little clip, I'll go into some small details about the windowless plane. I think the audio is not great. It might be, but just in case it's not, I am going to break it down for you. I just wanted you to kind of see this technology. It's absolutely fantastic, and to be honest with you, it's quite simple. So take a quick look.
Through the air. The displays, which would replace the windows, are lighter than the row of windows that you would traditionally find in a business passenger jet of this size. So there's immediately a weight advantage, which would save fuel and hence increase the range of a jet, which is an enormous selling point. And there's also the advantage of it becoming slightly more aerodynamic. Any interruption in the surface creates drag, so once you remove the windows, the surface becomes inherently more slippy. What's important to remember with this project is it is conceptual, it's a concept, so certain elements are already possible from what we're proposing. For example, the flexible displays, that's already possible. Two major electronics companies have released domestic televisions which are curved in the same way. Certain other aspects of the concept are not yet possible. The idea of this really is to push the boundaries. We're basically saying, wouldn't it be fantastic if you take the technology as it exists and then you push it towards the possibility of being able to use the images which are taken from cameras on the outside of the plane, coupled to the very recent technology of flexible screens, to have a first-person perspective to the outside of the plane. Essentially, you can display whatever you like on there. The content is only limited by your imagination, so which is why we then go on to share some fun and interesting possibilities that we imagined.
So mixed emotions inside the studio today. I'm hearing a lot of that's terrifying and that's cool. I think it's like, yeah, it's probably a little bit of both. Like, imagine that. So, you know that whole window seat fight? That would end with this, right? Because everyone would have a window seat. And the Center for Processing Innovation is actually working to remove the need to fight. In exchange, they would like to deck planes out in something they called OLED touchscreens that would extend the entire length of the plane, giving everyone, of course, a virtual window seat, including those trapped in the crowded aisles. So even if you're in the aisles, you could probably still look. Well, actually, it's everywhere, as you guys could see. You can look anywhere and just be seeing outside. So, as you saw, the OLED screens will be attached to cameras all over the outside of the plane, and as a result, will display to travelers the outside view via technology. Tired of looking at the bright blue sky? These screens now can actually be turned into tune to some of your entertainment. So that means if you have your work, if you bring your iPod, if you bring your laptop, you want to do work, you'll be able to do that. Now, let's talk about what the OLED touchscreen is. And then we're going to talk about some of the like, because with everything, there's some type of like, what would you call it? Not flaw. I wouldn't say flaw. What would you call it, Dave? Where it's not like a con. There we go. So instead of a pro, it's like a con to everything, right? So first of all, OLED touchscreen sounds really fancy, but it actually stands for Organic Light Emitting Diode, which means that a film made of organic compounds projects lights as a response to an electrical current. Again, even that, me saying, you guys are like, okay, who cares? So where do you find this? You can find this in your television. Mobile phones, your phone has this technology. Desktop monitors have the same technology. So as fancy as it sounds, you find it in everyday use, okay? In fact, by the time these planes are actually ready for use, there's going to be likely a more advanced technology because, again, things move really, really fast. So let's talk about some of the drawbacks. That's the word I was looking for, drawbacks. So what happens if your neighbor on the plane doesn't want to view the same content as you? So that's true. Like, you guys are sitting in the same, you know how planes are. You're both sitting there, and then what if the person doesn't want to watch what you're watching? Then what? Who gets to pick? Who gets to decide who's using that screen? Can you imagine the type of neck ache you would have? You have to keep turning your head this way, though. Can you imagine this? Because remember, you're watching your screen, so having to do this, that'd be kind of uncomfortable too. So there's some small drawbacks, not huge ones, but things to think about. Anyhow, leave your thoughts in the comment, and you can let me know what you think about windowless planes. Is this something that you're into? Would you travel on one of these? There's actually a picture of a thunderstorm, which I thought was freaky because I was like, who wants to see this during turbulence? Who wants to see lightning? I'm good. Don't want none of that. So we will do something. I think this might carry into our next segment a little bit, but it's okay. This still kind of goes off the whole idea of technology. Imagine your date picked you up and took you to the restaurant that I'm about to show you. Again, mixed feelings about that, but I think it's absolutely beautiful. So, opened in late 2016, 5.8 Undersea Restaurant is the world's largest all-glass underwater restaurant. Its name comes from the depth at which the restaurant sits. So that's 5.8 meters, which is about 19 feet below the surface. So this huge construction weighs about 400 metric tons and is 90 square meters. To access the restaurant, as you could see, you had to like walk down a pier and then you head down these steps. Actually, there's an aquarium restaurant on top. So you walk down the pier and you head down the separate path to a long winding staircase. And of course, this is not a huge restaurant. It only has about 10 tables in it, but all 10 tables have full view of what's happening underwater. So you know what? I'm not going to go too much further. I'm going to take a quick break. And when I do come back, we'll talk kind of about how it got there, how they actually created that. Because a lot of that is actually, it is man-made. Not really, but it is in a way man-made. How they got all the, not insects, listen to me, the fish and the aquatic life in that area. So stay tuned. This is actually pretty interesting. See you guys soon.
Are you retiring smart? Make your home's equity work for you. With your home's equity and our 30 years of experience, the Retire Smart Properties team can help you achieve the quality of life you've always wanted. Our services are 360 degrees. We'll give you advice, take care of staging and selling, and help you find the perfect home and community to transition to. It's time to enjoy the retirement lifestyle you deserve. Visit our website today to learn how you can use your home to retire comfortably. The Retire Smart Properties team, powered by RE/MAX West.
What up, everybody? So if you're just joining us right now, we are actually in our second segment of In the Now, and our first segment was kind of focused on technology. So we were talking about a windowless airplane, which I think is really cool, something that they're constructing. And also, we are talking now an underwater restaurant. So it's called 5.8, and they actually, if you actually go back to the last segment, because we showed a little bit of video, so you can kind of see what it does look like. So the coral landscape, which stretches across the edge of the tubular structure, draws all shapes and sizes of sea life right up to the glass. So to me, that'd be a little bit scary, right? Actually, they're saying, one of the articles that I did read on this said that sometimes you can almost feel like the fish are looking at you. And I'm like, why? Especially if it was a shark. Like, why am I about you right now? So people can sit and have a whole theater of things going on. Not only the fish outside, but somehow they've managed to make sure that it's done on the plate as well. So I think, again, if you go back and look in the last segment, you'll see all the intricate meals that they make. And they use sometimes, obviously, some of the brothers and sisters of the swimmers outside. Did I just say swimmers? I did. What they are. They swim around. Okay. That's a Dave Rankin word. He doesn't use fish. He says swimmers. Dave, would you go into a swimmer's aquarium restaurant? Yes. Yeah? I think you would. I actually believe that. So some of the courses include a mix of unique meat and seafood-based dishes that emphasize the flavors of the local area. So they have something called diver's scallop, which is served with apricot. That sounds good. And almond vinaigrette. That just sounds really nice. So obviously, they're taking things from the area around it, which is really, really cool. So the natural reef landscape framing 5.8 was actually created by a dive instructor from the area. Her name is Paige Bennett. So this is actually in Maldives, just so you guys know. I just realized I didn't tell you guys where this is located. So she said that she found some dislodged coral blocks, and what she did is she noticed that they weren't healthy, so she transplanted them closer to the structure. And she noticed that after she transplanted them, they did really, really well, and they started to bring sea life. So she started to go back and get more of that same coral to kind of build that reef around the restaurant, which is actually really cool. So it's an actual living, thriving reef system and ecosystem which will grow on its own. So, you know what? She actually kind of did a really nice thing, a good thing. She kind of created a more of a sea life in that area off of things that were decomposing and dying or not healthy. So Not bad. Ladies and gentlemen, this is really good for those who are not squeamish like Anisha, our producer. Honeymoons, anniversaries. We don't always have to go to the same places. Like, you can go to other places in this world. There's so much that's happening. It's so full of things to do. These are great for like honeymoons, engagements. Who knows? You can pick, put some ideas in your head. All right. So I think that topic leads us into one that topic would actually help. We're going to talk depression a little bit, okay? Take a quick look at this video, and we're going to talk about a study that says that basically depression does cause brain cancer. Not brain cancer, brain damage. Sorry. Right now.
Dear Depression, we go way back. I remember the first time I met you. I was 7 years old, a pigtailed lover of books, teased for the sneakers my mother could barely afford. The second time I met you was at a house party where a stranger packed himself into my mouth. It was the first time I understand the word ugly. We met again when I learned I had lupus and found out my body now belonged to an incurable disease. And again, when I was sad for the 49th day in a row, I begged you to go away, but you would not leave. You, depression, are my childhood friend. The midnight voices in my head, a slick tongue. You pretend to have the answers, but loving you got me sick, got me suicide watched, got me blue happy pills. Find the nearest ledge, you say. Walk out, you say. Suspend, you say. Wouldn't I be happier dead yesterday? I cried enough to name myself the sad girl again. Lonely has developed an authority where my thoughts are family. Always fussing about the wrong I have done, about the pretty I burned. What I learn of sadness is from you. You tell me boys won't love me, but a fasten rope can. You tell me lupus is incurable, can't have 7 children, can't be hospitalized 3 times in 1 year and call that healing. You, a contradiction, a house of lies. Sickness can do that. It can lie. It can claw. My sadness will not cease. It will not quiet. And I am afraid to die.
So I'm going to address 2 things before we speak about this video. This video, when I found this and I saw that, there's a lot of things that I know a lot of people can connect to in that video, and we're going to talk about it. But, couple things. Angel, yes, I completely hear why this would be on your bucket list. This is an awesome, awesome place to go in Maldives, and I hope you do get to go. Thank you very much for commenting. I appreciate you. And also, guys, please bear with me today. I'm saying a whole bunch of foolishness. Like, honestly, I'm running on fumes right now. I am so tired. So if I do make some mistakes, do not hold it against me, okay? So, a study conducted by the Enigma MDD working group has broken many notions of how depression actually affects the brain. So, it has been believed for a number of years that brain damage caused or worsened chances of chronic depression. So, they were actually thinking that if you had brain damage, then it would make you have depression to make it even worse. So, this study provided impressive data that shows that persistent depression causes physiological damage to the brain. So now they're showing it the opposite way, that if you have depression, and severe depression is anything that lasts longer than a year. That's usually considered a major depressive episode. So if you are having this major depression for a long period of time, so if it's going 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and you have not gotten help for it, you are actually causing brain damage that's happening at this point now. And I say causing because you can get help. There are ways to deal with it, but you have to realize sometimes even what you're feeling, because you don't even know. A lot of us are not even realizing we're depressed, and we are depressed. So, published in Molecular Psychology, the study surveyed an unprecedented 9,000 individual samples. No testing sample has ever been this large, so the results prove the theory of depression's true cause and effect. So, the relationship between depression and damage is specifically revealed in the health of the hippocampus. So I have a small picture of the brain with depression and a brain without depression, so you can kind of see. And then alongside that, I'm actually going to put up, I don't know, can we put up the picture of the hippocampus so people can see? So the hippocampus is the part of the brain that looks kind of like a seahorse. So I got a picture that kind of looked like it because that's what it looks like. It looks like a seahorse. There we go. So the hippocampus is present on actually both sides of your brain, and it houses the amygdala. I can never say that word, which has been previously linked to depression. So it's actually connected to something else that's linked to depression. So it governs the creation of new memories, the formation of long memories, and of course, spatial navigation. So it is important to understand, though, that the hippocampus not only forms and maintains memories, but is crucial in controlling emotions. So that's a very important thing. So if depression is damaging this, you can see how this would affect you in the long term. So Enigma took magnetic resonance images, so MRIs, that compared the images of 1,728 patients diagnosed with chronic depression to the images of 7,199 healthy individuals. The patients diagnosed with chronic depression showed a definite shrinkage of that little strange thing in the corner of the hippocampus, up to 1.24%. As the hippocampus shrinks, your memories can become more negative. So this is where it's very important to understand how science and how you're feeling tie together. It makes your expectations for the future just as bleak. So if you're thinking here now, you've had depression for a while, and the more depression you have, the smaller this thing gets. And this thing is what regulates your emotions. Do you kind of see now how this might be extending even what you are feeling? So it becomes a cycle of self-fulfillment where obviously you have all these negative thoughts, your future looks bleak, this continues over and over again. And of course, it limits the effectiveness and functionality of the brain. We all know when we're not feeling mentally well, we're not doing much work, family, relationships. It's tough, right? So while positive thinking and mindful living has been acknowledged as vital for mental and spiritual health, now it has been proven that it's absolutely necessary for your physical health as well. So you need to find ways, if you are feeling those feelings of definitely suicide ideation, even the thoughts of it, or any type of depressive moods, getting out of bed, not eating, changing your sleeping patterns, those type of things. And if they're consistent, you may want to go to your doctor and maybe, see if you can start seeing somebody or talking to someone about depression, okay? So we're going to touch on this briefly, and then we're going to talk about it in the next episode as well, or in the next segment. So in the last couple of weeks, I've had a few people in my life, in my circle, who have had to deal with people who are very energy draining. And you know what? I wanted to put this out there because you know what? There's certain things about people's personalities that need to be understood. Of course, we all know that we all have different personalities, but there are some that are a lot more draining to be around than others. One such personality disorder is called narcissistic personality disorder. So what I will do is I'm going to come back in the next segment and I'm going to start it with a really quick video that kind of goes over it briefly. And then we're going to talk about it in real life here with how we can deal with this or identify someone who has narcissistic personality disorder, or at least the traits of it. See you guys soon.
Are you retiring smart? Make your home's equity work for you. With your home's equity in our 30 years of experience, the Retire Smart Properties team can help you achieve the quality of life you've always wanted. Our services are 360 degrees. We'll give you advice, take care of staging and selling, and help you find the perfect home and community to transition to. It's time to enjoy the retirement lifestyle you deserve. Visit our website today to learn how you can use your home to retire comfortably. The Retire Smart Properties team, powered by RE/MAX West.
Just a personality type that shows up in advice columns. It's actually a set of traits classified and studied by psychologists. The psychological definition of narcissism is an inflated, grandiose self-image. To varying degrees, narcissists think they're better looking, smarter, and more important than other people, and that they deserve special treatment. Psychologists recognize two forms of narcissism as a personality trait: grandiose and vulnerable narcissism. There's also narcissistic personality disorder, a more extreme form, which we'll return to shortly. Grandiose narcissism is the most familiar kind, characterized by extroversion, dominance, and attention-seeking. Grandiose narcissists pursue attention and power, sometimes as politicians, celebrities, or cultural leaders. Of course, not everyone who pursues these positions of power is narcissistic. Many do it for very positive reasons, like reaching their full potential or helping make people's lives better. But narcissistic individuals seek power for the status and attention that goes with it. Meanwhile, vulnerable narcissists can be quiet and reserved. They have a strong sense of entitlement, but are easily threatened or slighted. In either case, the dark side of narcissism shows up over the long term. Narcissists tend to act selfishly, so narcissistic leaders may make risky or unethical decisions, and narcissistic partners may be dishonest or unfaithful. When their rosy view of themselves is challenged, they can become resentful and aggressive. It's like a disease where the sufferers feel pretty good, but the people around them suffer.
So this personality type is very, very interesting. And I'm telling you, I can almost guarantee you there are people in your life who are like this. It could be your mom, it could be your dad, it could be your sister, it could be a friend. Unfortunately, sometimes some of these people we can't really get rid of. But I will say this, which I'm going to repeat at the end. When you're dealing with a personality type like this, run away. It's your only bet is to not be around, because it will drain you. And misery loves company. I do say this. It does love company, and this is a different type of company. So there's some things you must know first. So narcissists have no capacity for empathy, understanding, or validation, but they've worked hard in order to fake it, okay? They've been working on this method for years, which makes their lies a lot harder to spot. Narcissists can lie, believe me when I tell you. They boost, they brag, and they tell exaggerated stories. You know those people always have a story to tell? There's always a story to tell, and it's always huge, and it's always great, and it's something that they're involved in. It's just a story. Okay. So, of course, they do this because they want to be at the forefront of people's minds. That's why they act like this. They put themselves out there like this. So I want to take a look at 4 tricks that narcissists use to stay the center of attention. So the blame game. All right. If a narcissist has the chance to make someone look bad while elevating their own status in the process, they're always going to take that one, okay? They consistently blame others for things that may not be their fault. And then when drama ensues, they'll justify themselves after that, okay? So let's talk about the whole fact that they can reverse roles sometimes. So narcissists are masters of conversation and manipulation. They understand just exactly how to twist a conversation around so that they look better in the eyes of the people around them, okay? Not only will they be able to turn the conversation, but they'll be able to manipulate you into taking responsibility for the sudden and abrupt turn of events. Now, meanwhile, they look like they're the victim, and you're wondering what just happened in this argument. I was mad at you. How did this flip? Narcissists are great at that, okay? They play the victim. So there's actually another personality type, and this is more directed to, it's actually most women will have this type of narcissistic personality type, and it's called histrionic. And this is where they always play the victim. Okay. So usually a narcissist will take undeserved pity at the expense of another who most likely deserves the pity in the first place. So you know the person who you'll tell a story about something like that's happened to you or something not great. And then of course they come up with a story that's so much worse and how they've gone through so much worse. Just the everlasting victim. I wonder if this is ringing bells for anybody. Okay. So this is a classic manipulation tactic that the narcissists spend their lives perfecting. They are great at doing that. They will always, remember that exaggerated story? They will always make their stories look bigger and worse. And oh my God, so you can feel sorry for them. All right? They interrupt. Since a narcissist has to be at the center of attention, they will interrupt any conversation that does not pertain to them directly. Okay? If someone interrupts a narcissist in order to redirect the conversation, they'll be rendered to silence as quickly as possible. So that narcissist will find a way to capitalize back and pull that conversation that goes back to them again. If this fails, the narcissist will perceive that person as a threat to, of course, the most important person in the world, which is them. So, again, you know what? I would say comment if you know anyone like that, but that'd be putting people on blast. So I won't say comment if you know anyone like that, but I will say comment if you've had any type of interaction with that personality type and how that made you feel after interacting with them. How did you feel drained? Do you have someone in your life who continuously does this? My advice, just stay away from them. Your best thing. All right. So let's go to the Caribbean and then come back to Canada and then go to the Caribbean because that's what's going to be happening with a certain product in the next little bit. So with the legalization of marijuana becoming more of a reality, there are certain actions that have been put in motion. And one is that Jamaica, who has put themselves on the map again, has made their first shipment of medical marijuana to Canada. Who knew? They have to go to Jamaica first, obviously. Like, how could you not, right? So this shipment marks the first step in positioning Jamaica as the medical marijuana hub for the world. So the shipment was authorized through an import permit issued by the government of Canada through Health Canada for Jamaica and an export permit issued by the Ministry of Health in Jamaica. So the import permit from Health Canada was obtained on behalf of Jamaican-based licensed producer Timeless Herbal Care, which was then granted an export permit by the Minister of Health in Jamaica. So before we go on break, let's take a listen to Minister Audley Shaw and see what he has to say about this very, very, very big move by Jamaica.
Well, Courtney, Timeless recently hosted an event here in Toronto welcoming the Jamaican minister and some thought leaders in the medical marijuana space. Let's reflect a little bit on that event.
Well, the event was truly historic in many ways for the minister. He pointed out a couple of things, and certainly the meetings with Health Canada, as we now look at the legal and regulatory for the international, he felt was very positive for him. We met with the Ontario Cannabis Board, and he became a champion for pain relief and opiate reduction after he heard the presentation by Dr. Yasmin Hurd.
How important is it to really have that government support at the federal level?
It is it's by far the most critical. You know, governments to a large extent in any legal and regulatory framework, they're the driver. And so knowing that Health Canada is supportive of what Jamaica is doing, and Jamaica is also supportive of what Health Canada needs, and having both, you know, you really do need both governments to be at the same level. And so that was a very important piece for us.
So according to Courtney Betty, president and CEO of Timeless Herbal Care, Timeless continues to be a trailblazer in Jamaica, and the accomplishment of landing this very first shipment of extracted oil, which was cultivated and extracted at their facilities in Jamaica. So this is her quote: "Our international partners such as Open Vape and Mount Sinai Hospital are also helping to guide us in producing the highest grade extracted oil, which can be used for clinical trials, leading to the development of medicinal products for the world." Okay, so Jamaica, good for you. Very good for you. Putting yourself on the map with your exporting. And the great thing is you're exporting now something that grows freely in Jamaica. It's the plant in Jamaica. So when we come back, we're going to look at how it's interesting how these stories kind of flow together today. So because of this whole, obviously, legalization of marijuana, there's some other things that are happening legally right here in Canada. And I'm almost sure that with this Jamaican week coming over here now, some Vancouver cops are going to be very, very happy. And we'll talk about that on In the Now.
Are you retiring smart? Make your home's equity work for you. With your home's equity in our 30 years of experience, the Retire Smart Properties team can help you achieve the quality of life you've always wanted. Our services are 360 degrees. We'll give you advice, take care of staging and selling, and help you find the perfect home and community to transition to. It's time to enjoy the retirement lifestyle you deserve. Visit our website today to learn how you can use your home to retire comfortably. The Retire Smart Properties team, powered by RE/MAX West.
Welcome back. So we have one more segment left, and I have some more juicy information for you. So, yeah, cops. What other freedoms are you going to get right now? Well, if you're just joining us now and you watched the last segment, you will have learned that Jamaica and Canada now have almost like an import-export deal right now with medical marijuana. And it couldn't have come at a better time because it's becoming legalized here in a few weeks, no? Right? So this is very wonderful for some Vancouver cops because apparently Vancouver officers are free to smoke pot as long as they arrive fit for duty. So how did this even happen? So with just weeks to go before legalization, the Vancouver Police Board approved on Wednesday a set of regulations for the officers' use of cannabis. As per recommendations laid out in an August report by the Vancouver Police Department, the board rejected a 24-hour pre-shift period of abstinence in favor of a standard that simply states officers must arrive to work fit for duty. So implementing a 24-hour abstinence period is less than ideal, they said. The August report states that cannabis, of course, affects different individuals in different ways, in varying degrees, which is true. And there's no medical consensus on how long cannabinoids like THC, the main psychoactive ingredient in cannabis, takes to clear the system. So they really don't have any idea. So Vancouver Police Department officers will, however, be prohibited from consuming cannabis prior, so right before the start of their shift, as in the case with alcohol, okay? They will be allowed to possess controlled drugs while working or on break, so long as the substance is stored for the purpose of transportation in its original sealed and unopened package. But I'm like, why would you even, this is where I'm a little confused. If you can't smoke at work, why are you even going to bring it there? Why is that even a stipulation? Because you can't smoke it. Why bring it? That's just tempting, right? No? Do you not agree? So tell me what you think, guys. I always like to hear what you guys have to say about this type of stuff. Like, are a lot of you just going to move to Vancouver and become police officers now? because that's good work. It's good money too. Just saying. I'm sure they need people on the force. So we have one more story for you guys, and this one I'm still trying to wrap my mind around. But for those in the East Indian community, this is probably not a new story, but it is actually new news. So I thought this one would be kind of interesting to take in. The one great thing about my job, I have to say, is that I'm able to see everything that's happening in this world. I get to pick and choose what I find interesting, what I think will be good for you guys to see for a couple of reasons. A, you begin to understand your rights and freedoms here and how these rights and freedoms play out in a way that you understand are very, very important. Okay, so let's take a quick look at a verdict that was reached when it comes to the sanctity of marriage.
Jessica, it's unlike the Aadhaar verdict, which was a majority verdict. This is a unanimous verdict that this law needs to go. Section 497 that criminalizes adultery is gone.
That's right, it's gone and gone for good. The laws and the IPC sections framed by the British era certainly seem to have got no place in our constitution today. You saw how Section 377 went away, and now 497 as well. Interestingly, Krishna, you know, the whole judgment and the details about the judgment have been only on focusing majorly on the fact that women have been subject to scrutiny, and they've been, you know, chattels in the society for a very long time. So if you look at how adultery law was framed, just to give our viewers a better understanding of what this law exactly was and why was there a need to strike it down. Now, the adultery law criminalized the husband. For example, if the husband who's having intercourse with another man's wife did not take permission from her husband, it would be considered adultery. And the woman again has no choice in this, because this law was framed to protect
the sanctity of marriage. So, India's top court has ruled adultery is no longer a crime, striking down a 158-year-old colonial-era law, which it said treated women as male property. So how did this all come up? So previously, any man who had sex with a married woman without the permission of her husband had committed a crime. I'm thinking in Toronto, you know how many men would be in jail because of this? Do you know how many? Oh, Lord. So who challenged the law? So last August, Joseph Shine, a 41-year-old Indian businessman who lived in Italy, petitioned the Supreme Court to strike down that law. He argued that it discriminated against men by only holding them liable for extramarital relationships while treating women like objects. Okay, so what were the previous adultery laws that were already in place? So the law dictated that the woman could not be punished as an Okay, so the law dictated the woman could not be punished. Instead, the man was considered to be the seducer. So a woman wouldn't be punished, but a man could go to jail for this. I just had to reread that to make sure that was making sense for me in my mind. It also did not allow women to file a complaint against an adulterous husband. So if you know your husband's cheating, you couldn't really file a complaint against that. And a man accused of adultery could be sent to prison for a maximum of 5 years, or pay a fine, or both. Okay, so what did the judges have to say about this? The judges who ruled on this. So the first judge, who goes by the name of Chief Justice Misra, said, "Husband is not the master of wife. Women should be treated with equality along with men." Judge Rohinton Nerman said that ancient notions of man being the perpetrator and women being victims no longer hold good. And Justice D.Y. Chandrashad said, "The law perpetrates subordinate status of women, denies dignity, sexual autonomy, and is based on gender stereotypes." Okay, so what has been the reaction since this ruling? So do you know that many Indians weren't even aware that this law even existed? Yeah. However, after Thursday's ruling, people now, of course, are talking about it. So this is what I definitely want you guys to do for me today. I want you to obviously go back to the beginning of this, look at all the information we provided today. Tell me, what did you find most interesting? What didn't you find interesting? With this one in particular, what do you think about them raising the issue of equality? Is it an equality thing that it's no longer a crime? What do you guys think about that? Definitely, I want to say to everybody, have a wonderful, wonderful Friday. Please send me your information. If you get any news that you think is interesting, that will catch people's attention, anything that you find interesting, because I would love different viewpoints, send that stuff into me. You can email me at simone@carib101.com. Or, of course, what you can do is just go straight to this page and the YouTube page, the Facebook page, either or, whatever is comfortable for you, and put stories right there that I can see. Tag my name in it, Simone Jennifer Smith. You can find that anywhere. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. Tag me in the story and tag your name so I can actually, acknowledge the fact that you've helped me do some of the research for the show. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Friday. It's supposed to be a beautiful day today. Enjoy your weekend. Drive safe. Do great things. And I'll see you guys next week on In the Now.